So this is actually the first question. How many of you cannot recall this topic on digestion? Cannot recall, just be honest. Right. So you need some revision, right? Yes, no problem. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to show you one video. And I think you should be quite familiar with videos as well, because I think your school teachers will also be sharing or letting you watch a lot of videos on science, right? So thumbs up if you can see my screen. Are you familiar with this very popular figure? Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Okay, how is it? Can you recall slightly better now? Right? Now they mentioned something, right? Okay, this guy mentioned something, right? The food pipe. Okay, the esophagus. What do you learn in science instead? You don't learn these terms, right? What do you learn? Caleb.
Gullet.
Gullet. How do you spell gullet?
Gullet.
Very good. Okay, need to know all this. All right, this will be useful for you. Okay, so let's go on to the worksheet first, but I will be asking questions along the way. So every time that I ask something, you have to try to answer. Okay, the more you participate, okay, the better you will become, because your improvement will be tremendous. Right. So let me ask you some questions as we start this first question. Okay, now, I know you have done your work, okay, but of course, doing your work doesn't mean that's it, because I want to check whether you understood. Sometimes MCQ, okay, people will be just guessing, okay, maybe it's this one, I just put this down. Okay, but it might not be correct. So I'll be asking questions along the way just to check that you're on the right track. Okay, so 5 samples of food, right, are taken from the following parts. So you can see there are a few parts, right? Okay, a few parts in the digestive system, A, B, C, D, E, already labeled here. Okay, so the amount of undigested food at the 5 parts was then plotted in the graph. So they're asking you now, which line in the graph actually represents amount of undigested food in the 5 parts. Okay, which one is the correct one? Now, so can you tell me what is part A? Let's label the parts first. Okay, Emma?
Part A is the mouth.
Good. Okay, so part A is the mouth. Okay, part B, Vinuli? Gullet. Okay. Part C, Jared?
Stomach.
Okay, good. So this is what you need to do. And then part D, Hayden? Again, sorry?
Small intestine.
Small intestine. Good. Okay, and then the last one, Wayla. Wayla, what is the last one here? Part E?
The large intestine.
The large intestine. Okay. So you know all the 5 parts, right? Now, I want to ask you another question. Do you think digestion takes place in the mouth? Yes or no? Anyone? Okay. Vinuli, yes? I cannot hear you. Can you be louder a bit? Are you able to hear her? Or is it just me? Not able to hear her, huh? Okay. Vinuli, come. You're going to take oral exam as well, no? So I need you to speak up. Be louder.
Digestion takes place.
Yes. Do you know what is being digested in the mouth?
Undigested
there are three categories of food, right? The three food groups: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Do you remember what is digested in the mouth? Jason, do you remember?
The food goes into your mouth and then they get dissolved by your saliva.
Yeah, the saliva will do something, right, to digest a particular food group. Do you all remember this? Wei Le, can you remember? Not too sure, huh? Not too sure, is it? Okay, let me share with you then. All right. Okay. So maybe this is carbohydrates? Yes or no? Carbohydrates like the rice, noodles, bread, okay, your bihun. Okay, these are carbohydrates. Okay, so these carbohydrates, okay, start digesting in the mouth by the saliva, like what Jason said. Because in the saliva, there are some enzymes. Okay, these enzymes will help to digest the carbohydrates. Okay, so if you don't believe me, you try it today. Today, go and try. During your meal time, okay, we are eating rice, right? Plain rice. Put some rice into your mouth. Okay, chew it, but don't swallow. Okay, don't swallow. Okay, let it stay in your mouth for a while. Very soon, you will taste that, how come the rice tastes so sweet? Okay, you can taste the sweetness of the rice because it's being digested, okay, into simple sugar. That's why it tastes quite sweet, right? So don't keep it there for too long. After you can taste the sweetness, right, then you can swallow it, right? So the main purpose actually is for the teeth to chew the food, right, into smaller pieces. Then you swallow. Is there any digestion taking place in the gullet? No. Very good. So here, no digestion. So I put a cross here. Okay, doesn't mean it's a wrong organ. I'm just putting a cross to indicate that no digestion takes place. How about in the stomach? It was actually mentioned in the video. Something is being digested. Okay, just in case you already forgot all this. Proteins are actually digested in the stomach. Do you know our proteins? Yeah, so you have your meat, right? Not chicken meat, okay, fish, okay, there are eggs also. So all these are proteins that you take in, and they are not digested in the mouth, not in the gullet. They only start digesting in the stomach. How long does food stay there in the stomach? 4 hours. Emma said 4 hours like this. Good. Okay, so food will stay in the stomach for 4 hours. All right. And then after that, what happens? You will travel to the small intestine, right? So in the small intestine, something very special takes place here. You know why the small intestine is so long? Okay, because digestion will be completed in the small intestine. It'll be good if you can write down notes on your own also. Okay. So you will have your carbohydrates, you will have the fats, and you will have the proteins all digested here in the small intestine. Now, when the food enters from the stomach to the small intestine, right? Okay, it actually starts here. It will travel all around slowly. As it's moving along your small intestine, the food gets digested more and more and more. Okay, until it reaches right the end of it. Before it enters the large intestine, okay, the food should be digested already because it's a long journey. Okay, then what happens? Those that are not being digested enters the large intestine. Correct or not? Yes or no? So those that are not digested will enter the large intestine. What happened to those food that are being digested? Wait, look. What happened to those food that are digested?
They are absorbed into the bloodstream
Very good. So
by other parts of the body.
yeah, correct. So while they are being digested in the small intestine, every time it's digested, right? The digested food doesn't stay there, no. It's going to pass through the wall of the small intestine into the bloodstream. Okay, remember that, huh? So every time, okay, digestion is taking place in the small intestine, the digested food passes into the bloodstream. And like what Wayla said, the blood will carry the digested food to all parts of the body. Okay, so the undigested food go into the large intestine. What happens to them? What will happen to the undigested food in the large intestine? Okay, then?
The water will be absorbed, then the other wasted food will be taken out.
Yeah, good. So the main purpose of the large intestine is actually to absorb water from the undigested food. That is why when you go to the toilet, your poo-poo is actually quite firm. Yeah, it's not mushy or anything, but when you're not well, right? Okay, let's say your large intestine, okay, when you're not well, your digestive system is affected. You agree? Your appetite changes. Okay, so your body doesn't function that well. So sometimes the large intestine cannot absorb the water. What happens to your poo-poo? You start having diarrhea, right? Then you go to the toilet, what happens? All the sound come out. Yeah? Sometimes it, that kind of sound. Yes or no? How many of you experience that? I do. Okay? Yeah, that's what we call, I have a very bad stomach, I got diarrhea. So it might start out to be fur, and then after that, it's very soft, then very watery, all this sound, right? You're so embarrassed that people might hear from outside the toilet, that kind of feeling. Yes, all of us go through it. Don't have to be embarrassed. Okay, all of us go through it. That is because your large intestine did not absorb the water. That's how you get your diarrhea. Okay, you understand better now? Yeah. So come back to this. Let's look at the graph now. We said that, okay, in the mouth, yes, some food is digested, right? And then after that, it goes through the gullet, no digestion. So how do you read graph? It's important that you know how to read graph because P5, P6, graph reading, okay, that means data. Data is actually shown in the graph, in tables. All these you have to be very, very familiar. You are going to see a lot of PSLE question testing you on such things. Okay, so this is how graph question can be tested. So if you look here, can you look at the first section? Okay, look at the first section here. Food is being digested. So the amount of undigested food actually will drop. Agree? Yeah, because some already digested. So it's going to decrease a little. So when I look at such question, this is how I approach it. I'm going to look for the odd one out and cross it out. Do you do that? I hope you do that. Huh? So look at graph A, B, C, D. A shows a horizontal line. It says stays the same throughout. Do you think that's true? That's not true because food digested. So A is wrong. So already I can cross out A. So long as any part is not right, we cross it out. Let's look at the next part. Part B, gullet. Tell me about the gullet. No digestion. So the undigested food should stay constant. Yes or no? So it's going to stay the same throughout. So this is correct. This is correct. A, I already crossed out, right? A, no need to look at it anymore. So I look at B. B tells me this is wrong. I cross out B. So now my B is also being crossed out. Do you see how this is done? Okay, learn these techniques. Okay, then look at part C now. Part C is stomach. Digestion takes place. So my C and D both shows digestion taking place, right? Okay, so I have to move on to the next part. Next part says, okay, small intestine. Small intestine, is there digestion taking place? Yes or no? Yes, because I have carbohydrates.